Running missions will be one of the most common methods of action and interaction in Star Citizen. And no matter if that mission is based on mining, transportation, data collection, refueling, salvaging, or farming, Star Citizen hopes to use a few unique tools to create and curate missions for players of specific playstyles, and reward them based on context regarding the micro and macro economy game-wide. This is good because the mission system is currently awful, and is leagues away from anything that might support the world CIG is trying to build. So let me explain how in the future you might never run out of engaging missions to play with your friends in Star Citizen, and why we'll be taking a step towards that reality in Alpha 3.15. I'm Space Tomato, and I'd like to thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. And I'd like to thank my newest Patreon supporters, Lord Skippy and Damon Moreau. The easiest way for me to sell you on this idea so that you aren't ridiculing me by the end of this video is to chop this concept into 3 parts: the mission creator, the mission curator, and the mission rewarder. Each of these aspects belong to one of 3 in-house tools that the developers have been creating over the years to back up what they hope will be a living and functioning galaxy containing millions of simulated NPCs going about their days. See, games have always had incredible missions throughout the years, missions that mattered, missions that we hated, missions that we always came back to, and missions that we eventually grew tired of. But when it comes to scaling up these missions, games always seem to miss one of those 3 aspects I mentioned earlier. They struggled to provide missions that made sense, or differed in meaningful ways from one another. There wasn't a convincing and efficient way to make sure players were able to access missions not just based on their skill, but on their playstyle. Rewards, while many times impressive and interesting, lacked context and didn't meld well with the lore or art design of the area. And to be honest, Star Citizen suffers from all 3 of these problems right now, in major ways. But the remedy to these issues has already started to be implemented into the game, and will take a big step in 3.15. Like many MMOs, Star Citizen will have its own dynamic economy, running on a system named Quantum. This is a simulation of the game space that allows all aspects including commodity prices, supply and demand, pirate or security presence, trade route danger, and more to be changed dynamically through proactive and reactive logic. This logic is almost entirely driven by AI at a 90 to 10% split, AI versus player influence. What I mean by this is for every player in the game, there will be 9 AI simulated in the background affecting the system. These AI are known as quanta, and they will all be assigned characteristics such as risk aversion, greed, aptitude, and proficiencies at jobs like mining or salvage. You can see how this gets complex pretty quickly. It actually required the company to switch from writing the program in TypeScript to C#. I won't get much more into detail about this until next year, but if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the video where I got this footage down below. When the quantum system is utilized, it will allow the developers or the game itself to react to situations by generating new content for both players and AI to handle in order to balance out an environment. As an example, if a system has begun to attract more pirates, possibly due to trade shipment values increasing, big-name criminals may become more common in the area with bounties on their heads, calling for more bounty hunting missions to be generated. If an explorer has recently discovered a massive deposit of a valuable mineral, large mining companies such as Shubin are going to generate mission contracts to grab some of that booty for them. How will CIG know that these missions are being generated to create the right engaging content for players, though? A tool built into Quantum will allow devs to track missions' success and finish rates. This allows them to see if a mission is too easy and doesn't retain attention, or is too difficult and sees no success. Over the long term, combined with the compounding nature of new assets and mission types, this could lead to good long-term mission health. Ultimately, if successful, the system will be able to look at the local conditions as well as where your current star system stands in relation to the rest of the game, and how that causes the economy to react to events. To provide the ability for such scale, it has taken a while, but the beginnings of this system have started to be included in the game, visible in the commodity price tracker. It will never be a perfect system, There will always be holes, and the system will likely fall short of the lofty expectations. But this could go a long way in creating a great mission system. These missions being generated should be varied though, only given to those who qualify. Miners, haulers, smugglers, and farmers shouldn't all be getting the same missions. There needs to be a way to allow specific missions to go to those who have earned them. The reputation system was added into the game towards the end of 2020 and has since grown. While mainly focusing on the narrow scope of the bounty hunter profession, it will eventually encompass many of the actions you, an AI, a company in-game, or your own organization take. The impact this can have on your place in the game over time can actually be quite jarring. There are two ways your reputation can be disturbed. Affinity is the measure of how much any party in the game actually likes who you are. Do you share their values and practices? How do you complete your missions? And what do you do in your free time? Then there's confidence for mission givers or career for organizations. This will track how much these parties specifically trust you to get the job done. I won't get much more into detail about this system, but if you'd like to know more, I made a whole video about what we know so far that you can find in the video description. This reputation system will allow you to progress through various parts of the game, taking the burden off of currency a bit, and allowing for more personalized growth and progression experiences. This can create opportunities for solo and group play. A solo player can curate that reputation specifically to always have a connection to somewhere like Spider, a dangerous space flotilla that does not advertise itself as very inviting to all characters. This is the kind of place where you can get valuable missions that others can't. A particular character from the location may reach out to you with an assassination mission, while your friend might only get a smuggling contract. On the other hand, a group of friends could use this system to always have new missions available from a pool of organizations. As each member in your group works hard to maintain a strong, high-level connection with a valuable client, every player that decides to join that member can enjoy these new mission types in group settings, providing more unique gameplay for everybody. These possibilities fit hand in hand with the economy, the groups that are affected by it, and the strengths of your partners. When trade is booming in Stanton, it will highly benefit those who have built trade connections. When a space station has been blockaded, you may not be the person that security forces call for help. And as racing season picks up in Ellis, transportation companies might only look for captains who fly ships on more comfortable routes. Not only will the reputation system provide you with access to exclusive areas, ships, weapons, and armors, it will define the way you proceed through your career, which missions you choose, and how you build a name for yourself in the verse. But after earning the missions that are oh so specific to your playstyle, you should expect a reward that makes sense given the mission's circumstances. With games like Star Citizen, players tend to put a lot of thought into their actions. Plenty of time and effort goes into calculating logistics, considering risk, consolidating inventories, and choosing the right ship for the job. But when it's time to earn money, there is something else that's in it for the players that deserves attention as well, and it's something that we will be seeing in just a couple of months. Loot. Loot can be an artificial RNG reward meant simply to satiate the need to earn something at the end of a mission. Loot can also act as less of a direct reward and more as a narrative tool with heavy gameplay implications. In Star Citizen, lockers, crates, boxes, ships, homes, and other things will be filled with props, items, and other valuables based on a specific criteria. For example, recent smuggling activities have drawn the attention of Crusader security to the surface of the moon, Daymar. You, being a local mercenary with good standing at Crusader's security division, are offered a contract to bust up the operation. You take care of the issue, no problem, and get your 10,000 UE extra for being a loyal Crusader Industries hired killer. But all you can do is pick up some guns, find a random mineable rock, and fall through the surface of the planet. These people in the cave had no food, no water, no oxygen supplies, and most importantly, no drugs. There needs to be a constant supply of contextually accurate and useful items for players to come across in their journeys. The team at CIG saved some work on this task by using the already existing harvestable system. This allowed the ability to quickly scale up the dynamic placement of loot split into archetypes. These archetypes are essentially tags, like the tags we apply to videos to identify them. These tags can include item type, such as weapon, drug, poison, or food. It could include manufacturers such as Crusader, Shubin, the UEE, or the Ninetales Gang. On top of this, each tag is weighted against the others, so your probability of getting an item is based on all of the factors attached to that location and situation, as well as the weight or likeliness of that type in whatever space you are considering, such as medical tools in a hospital, or sniper rifles in a watchtower. Because of the way these items have been defined in the game, there is an incredible amount of opportunity for loot items to always reflect the intent and atmosphere of an area. Whether you know you need a rare drug from some Ice Mountain outpost, or a weapon only used by a secretive faction. And how does this tie into the other aspects of the mission system? Quantum. As Quantum dictates the story of the universe the game takes place in, it will direct the loot system as to how it should fill each space. If the Quantum system decides a pirate base was taken over after a recent uptick in security measures, the loot system will reflect that. If you're waiting for the opportunity to snag some security gear from a less defended area, that could offer you your chance. As another example, if a planet or moon ends up becoming war-torn and laid to ruin by various groups, the value of that planet's items will decrease as the simulated NPCs of Quantum disperse. This can drive loot rates down in some areas, but could also leave other areas unprotected for you to see if anything valuable remains. This reward system, if successfully linked to the creation system, could tie the lore, narrative, and overall design of the game into your own decisions every day. And while this loot system isn't particularly new to gaming, linking it into these other tools could create a mission system that truly matters to players. There's no doubt CIG has always been ambitious to create detailed and dynamic systems, but I think when they start to combine these everyday game systems together in a game of this scale, that's when we start to see what really makes Star Citizen a special project. Whether it will be successful in doing these things, though, is another story. If you are as excited as I am about that story and cool space games in general, consider subscribing here to join the garden. And check out my second channel, Space Tomato 2, where you can see my podcast, the virtual photography show, and more gaming content in general. And while we're mentioning it, you can also check out my podcast in audio format, if that works better for you. Sometimes I get a bit excited with these opinion pieces, so I'd love to know what you think of this concept. I may be completely off the mark. I know some of you will mention how none of these systems are new, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you would like to help support my work, feel free to check me out on Patreon, where you can help fund the creation of these videos and help us find our own apartment. I hope you learned something in this video, and I'll catch you later. Thanks to my top supporters TK, Valiant15, The Alpaca, Holston Coop, The Huntress, Dasek, Guilty Conscious, Extreme Tuber 7, El Gordo, Jarzi, Niku, Jin, and Bilal El Yassem.